I got to high school, as I've said, I began reading about Du Bois and James Weldon Johnson, and this minister who had come from North Carolina had a course in black history, and so that sparked my interest in becoming something more than a hairdresser. And I also read a book about Abraham Lincoln. I don't remember whether it was something Lincoln wrote or not now. But in any event, he said that he thought one of the most difficult professions was the legal profession. And so I decided that was what I was going to pursue. Now, I guess that says something. That is, I was ambitious, if nothing else.
Ambitious, and you obviously liked challenges.
Yes, because nobody, you know, when I said that to people, they just shrugged their shoulders as if to say, yeah, that's ridiculous. But then I became active in community affairs. In fact, when I was 15, I passed for 20 because I was tall. I was 5'7", and I became the secretary of the New Haven Adult Council, Negro Adult Council. And the president was Edward Goen, whose father was the rector of the Congregational Church. And I was the secretary, and he thought I was 20. So then we had a youth organization, which I was one of the leaders in forming. And of course, most of our colleagues, they were only interested in dancing and music. So the first thing we did when we formed this organization was to rent a storefront on Dixwell Avenue in the black community. And what did we do? Every Friday night we had a social to raise money to pay the rent. But trying to get my associates then interested was very hard. Everyone who was interested was at least 4 years older than I. Well, after I graduated from high school in 1939, the war broke out, as you know, in December 41, and things really changed. You know, everybody was involved in the war, and everybody had a job working in a defense plant in Connecticut, Pratt and Whitney or something like that. I was going to all these meetings. Any group that had a meeting, any labor group or any community group on unemployment, I was there. And I went along with others, all of whom were older than I was, all of whom were at least 4 or 5 years older. Because most of the other young people my age were not interested to that extent. If you were going to a social where there'd be dancing, fine, but other groups, no. They were not as interested in, as I was, in social, political matters, so to speak.
Well, what were your peers and your parents saying to you in terms of, you know, here's this 15-year-old girl who wants to be a lawyer, you know, a 15-year-old black girl who wants to be a lawyer. I mean, it's inconceivable to most people of that time.
Yes, but at that time there was at least one role model, and that was Jane Bolin. Do you know who Jane Bolin is?
I've heard the name. I don't.
Well,
I didn't realize she was
then
still
you're younger
alive.
than I thought. But anyway.
I didn't realize that she was
she's
still alive.
Yeah, I think she's in her 90s now.
Oh, my goodness.
The last time I inquired, she was still alive. Her father was a lawyer. And Jane Bolin graduated from Yale Law School about 1937, you see. And then she came to New York, and she was appointed, I think, by LaGuardia to the domestic relations court. And so we had our first black woman judge, I think, in the country. And all the time I was going to law school, at least, she was a role model. And then there was Eunice Hunton Carter. She was another black woman who was a lawyer then. And she worked for Tom Dewey when he was governor. He appointed her an assistant district attorney, I think, here in Manhattan. And then there was also a woman in Brooklyn whose name I don't remember right now, who was a lawyer. I met her only after I came to New York. But I knew about Eunice Hunton Carter and Jane Boland when I was in high school. So I knew that it was possible for a black woman to become a lawyer.